Welcome to Haunting Live Podcast, a place where we bring a new paranormal guest each episode to share their journey and experiences.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right, Haunting Live Podcast friends. Today, our show, we have a holistic and integrative counselor, spiritual advisor, certified psychic medium, author, speaker, dog mom, and founder of Achieving Balance Counseling Holistic Center, who has been featured in the New Yorker, Manhattan Times, Madame Noir, and Essence magazine. We have the beautiful and talented Kenya Hall. Hi,
Hey,
Kenya.
hello. Hello, Yolanta and Trevor. That was a great introduction. Can I just take you along for the road? That was amazing. I heard the applause right included.
You know why I had to cut it down, because I do see that you do even more than that, and you've actually been featured in even more than that as well. And I'm really excited to get into that with you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we thank you very much for taking your time and joining us here on the episode today. And first of all, let me ask you, how did you get into your background? Tell us a little bit about how you got into your field.
Yeah. Well, I was about 3 years old and the bed started levitating, and that's when no, I'm just playing. No, that did not happen. That did not happen at all. No. I actually, by profession, undergrad and grad, I did mental health counseling. And my supervisors always would say, you're just so in tune with your clients. And, after the intake, I would go and I would say, this and this and this is about to happen. This should be the treatment plan. And they were like, but how did you know that? And I was like, well, you didn't know, you didn't pick up on that? And they were like, well, no. And I was like, okay. And literally the therapeutic journey with my clients would play out from what I said in the intake. And then when I moved to New York, I am a transplant. I've been here almost 13 years. When I moved to New York, that is when I got into spiritual work and psychic work. And energy work. And that's when I realized that I had been reading energy this whole time. I just thought I was a really, really good therapist. I thought I was just sensitive. I'm a Cancer. I'm just sensitive. But both things can be true. And come to find out, I was actually just tapping into people's auras, tapping in even to the psychic timeline. And it wasn't until I moved here that I understood that and got that language. I didn't have that language in Oklahoma. That's where I'm from. And then that's how I knew that I needed to integrate both of the modalities together.
What was your first topic then that you really wanted to get into? Did you go into intuitive from there and kind of learn from your experiences and take it from there? Or how did that grow for you?
Yeah, when I moved to New York, I was staying with a sorority sister, and her dad had recently transitioned. So both of us being from the Midwest South, we wanted to like dip our toe into spirituality, but not like full throttle. And I found a place that their website was very professional, very polished. It also was just presented just the information of what the seance would look like. And they actually didn't even use the word seance. They used the word message circle. And so then I was like, I think we should try this. This feels safe. And that was Holistic Studies Institute. And from there, I continued to go to the seances. I would even go by myself. And then I became certified. And then I began to teach at Holistic Studies Institute. So it was a very professional way. And I think also just my study of getting my master's, I really wanted to be in a system that I could learn, but also I could grow. And that was reputable. I always said, I didn't want to be like the $5 psychic on the corner. No offense, don't come for me. But I wanted a robust, just legitimate, it had some history on it, place to go into. And that's how I found HSI.
So you're using the term seance. Now there's a lot of imaginary ideas of what a seance really is,
Yeah.
what it isn't. A lot of people, when they hear it, they think we're conjuring demons from the ethers and that we're all going to leave haunted and, things are going to pull our hair. What does that whole process actually look like? What's going on? Can you demystify this for us?
Oh gosh, that is such a great question. So I like to let's just do some basics. I define seance as three or more people gathered for spirit communication. That's like my definition for a seance. And so then with that, you are setting the intention to communicate with spirit, transition loved ones, but also spirit deities. And how I was learned, right? And also practice is, there's bookends. There's a way that you open the circle and there's a way that you close the circle. For my circles, lower entities or dark spirits are not allowed. Right. But if you go to other places where that is their intention, well, then you just got to know that's what you get into. I ain't fooling with that. I think we do have a misconception like there's all light and there's no dark. There is, the yin yang symbol is real for a reason. There is light and dark. For me, I operate with transition loved ones who's been to the light too, and spirit deities that are here for your good. So that's the seances message circles that I hold. And then also when we close in a way of we thank those who came in, but also like send them back, right? Like, y'all go ahead and go back to where y'all was at. We don't need you. I don't need you rattling my dishes. Thank you. So yeah, there's components to holding a really good, high vibrational, safe, and sacred circle.
Can you share some of those experiences that you've had then during a seance or a circle that kind of stood out to you? Maybe something that happened to you when you first started doing?
Yeah, maybe not when I first started doing them, but a story that always is so impactful to me. I was holding a circle in my home once, and it was such a great circle. There was so much healing. Transition loved ones was apologizing for abuse they did when they were on this side. People are hearing from like great ancestors. But I woke up the next morning and my electricity was off. And I go to my neighbors and I'm like, is your electricity off? I call the electric company, I call Con Ed. They're like, there's electric to your house. There's electric to your apartment. We see it. We don't know why you don't have electricity. And this was on a Sunday, so I couldn't get in touch with my super. Long story short, there was a wire in my box that had wiggled loose. And so you learn that when you're in the presence of spirit, they can manipulate. Electronics is the first thing they can manipulate. And so we had held such a powerful circle that literally it knocked my power out. Yeah. Yeah. It was the wildest thing. And also the electrician had to come, like the super couldn't just open the box. The electrician had to come, opens, and it's like, oh, this wiggled loose. How did this happen? Boop. And I had electric again.
That is absolutely phenomenal. Is that common? Since that's happened, is it common for you to have like physical manifestations in your space?
Physical manifestations always happen for me. My dishes rattle all the time. And when I say all the time, like twice a week.
Oh,
I put up Trevor Christmas tree. I'm putting up my Christmas decorations, and I have some lights on my credenza, and I powered them off, and then they popped on all by themselves. And then the other ones happened too. And I was like, okay, is mom here? Grandma, who is here? You can be around for Christmas. It's fine. So I have physical manifestations all the time. And I see shadows often.
Did these physical manifestations start when you started the mediumship, or is this something that predated mediumship for you?
See, that's a good question. If they were predated, I wouldn't have been able to connect the two, right? Like I didn't grow up in I grew up in a religious household, but not a spiritual household. So even if those things were happening, I never had the education or anyone to link the two. So I would say for me, I noticed since I've been in this work.
And how has that work kind of grown for you now? Can you sort of explain when you started it to what you do nowadays? Sort of go into what you do day to day.
Yeah, during COVID, I took the big leap and I left my management nonprofit job and started doing this full time. And I will definitely say the vibration of running a business is such an earth thing. And so it's a dichotomy to try to run a business, but then stay in this heart-centered spiritual space. So now I am running it full time. And I would say one of the results of doing this work is I am one of the 7 psychics in the A24 documentary, Look Into My Eyes, which is great because they interviewed over 150 psychics and landed on landed on 7. So that's just a testament of the work that I do. So day to day is a mix of anywhere from marketing to social media to doing my individual sessions to planning a circle, facilitating a circle. My last circle was around the thinning of the veil. My last circle was around October. So that's what my day to day consists of.
So yeah, you mentioned that you were just in a documentary. We saw that as well that you posted. So describe that journey for a little bit for us and go into how they found you and what was that like?
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. I got my first email about the documentary in January 2021. So we filmed for 3 years. And I always say by the time they got to me, it was psychics and medium was very hot TV world, unbeknownst to me. Like I don't know that world. But I had been approached probably 3 or 4 times by the time I got in contact with Lana and the team about doing some psychic something, all the way from Ghostbusters to one agency was pitching like a Big Brother psychic type of TV show. So by the time I got contacted by Lana's the director and Kyle's the producer. By the time I got contacted by them, I was like, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm not doing any of that. What I do is very like I was like, what I do is very sacred. What are you doing? And Lana sent me her links to her other documentaries, and she was like, "I want you to look at those. Look at what I've did, and then get back to me." I was like, "Okay." And she had did beautiful work on these sensitive subjects, and that's when I'm getting goosebumps right now. That's when I was like, I don't know exactly what this journey will look like, but I trust I'm in very good hands. And all of us was in very, very good hands. So we filmed for 3 years. Some days I would film for 13-hour days back to back. They came to some of my events, my speaking engagements. We did a seance, which is shown in the documentary. I led the seance. So and then it took almost a year to edit. So yeah, it just went fully live in fall. We had our New York City premiere. It was doing the documentary circuit, and now it's able to purchase on video on demand. And then hopefully it'll be streaming at the beginning of the year.
So this was originally premiered on the Sundance Film Festival, yes?
Yes.
Which is huge.
Wow.
Congratulations on that. And for those that missed it at Sundance, where can they actually purchase and see it?
So right now you are able to purchase it from Amazon Prime, Google Play, and Apple Play. And you will purchase it. It's $19.99, and it'll be let's not get all technical, but it'll be yours. You'll be able to stream it however many times that you want.
If somebody is in grief or just curious about the afterlife process, is this a documentary that would be helpful to them? Is that something that they would find useful in a grief process, or just questioning the afterlife?
Yes and yes. Also, the way the documentary was edited, the premise is you get to see and witness another healing modality. And it's edited in true documentary form, not to sway you left or right? Yes or no, or up and down.
Okay.
It allows you to see a healing modality, but you also get to see the psychics more personal as well. So people have said they identify with some of the psychics, different psychics. It makes sense for them. And some who know this world is like, yeah, readings, absolutely. And then some people's like, wow, I didn't even know a reading can do that for a person. So it's all of those things.
Sounds wonderful. We will definitely recommend that to our viewers, and they can check it out and see what your documentary is all about and what you do. So
they will enjoy it. The people have said they like it.
Have you seen reviews on it so far at all, or have you noticed what the outcome of it has been yet?
Oh, yeah. So Sundance was in January. So we're almost doing a whole year of it out being in the world. And A24 took me to Sundance. So I was able to be a part of that process, which was totally amazing. Yeah, reviews have been out right now. The latest is we've been nominated for some awards. So now award season is happening. I'm going to say it here first. If I get to go to any type of award season, I'm going to lose my mind. And oh my God.
Congratulations on that too.
Yeah, thank you. I hope they take us.
The topic is so hot, and it sounds like they've done such a great job that I hope so too. More people need to know about this healing modality, and it's so important for people to find representation within the different healers, because,
Yeah.
sometimes when people hear about, a psychic or a medium, they think, oh, old people like me, like back to the Madame Cleo at night, or you're thinking you're getting swindled. And that
Yeah.
really isn't the case when you find a legitimate, qualified individual to do it.
Absolutely.
Is that something that you find as well?
Yeah, that's, Yolanta, that's the biggest part of my brand is I really wanted people to see that I'm a regular person. I'm on the journey too. I have a therapist, right? We're all on the path together. And no, you will not see me draped in crystals with a turban taking my trash out, right? You're going to see me in a muumuu and my dog taking my trash so a part of the secondary part of just my brand and showing up in this work is just being approachable. And I think that's really, really important.
The paranormal can happen at any time, so that's why our Etsy store is always open. Get your paranormal items from cleansing to protection to attraction, all available now on our Etsy store. Search Haunting Live. It is, especially for another part of work that you do that we see on your site as well, that you deal with intuitive as well as grief counseling as well. So can you talk a little bit about how you got into dealing with people and their need for grief?
Yeah, thank you, Trevor. My mother unexpectedly transitioned, and it'll be 8 years in the spring. With my master's in counseling and providing all these services, I had never experienced grief as deeply as such. And I immediately was like, so everyone is lying. Like, everyone is like downplaying this human experience. I wrote, and this is when Facebook had notes. So I'm dating myself, but I would write monthly for a year, and people responded so much to it. And I wrote to grief. I personified it and I wrote to grief, and people really loved it. And I sat on it for 3 years. It took me from that journey because my brain couldn't conceptualize profiting off of my mother's death. And it was my psychic mentor at the time. He said, how do you not know this is not another gift that your mother is leaving you? And that's all I needed to unlock that part of me. And then I put my book together and launched it. It turned 4 here. This month it turned 4. And so my book, Letters to Grief, A Guide to Understanding and Normalizing Loss, just takes people through the year of first. And it has journal prompts and meditations and the psychoanalytic education in it. And so from that's how I got into specifically doing grief workshops and corporate grief and holding grief circles. I did a year-long monthly grief circle during COVID, and that was, absolutely needed. So yeah, that's my intersection with grief along this healing journey path.
Find the first year the hardest, or was it the second? Because I often hear that the second year is a little bit harder for people than the first year.
I think it's the third year. Actually, I say it all the time. I think it's the third year because the first year, everything is so new and raw. And then the second year, you're like, right, I did this just a year ago. But the third year is when it really sinks in, like, this is my life, right? This is it. This is not changing. So for me, I think it was the third year. Of course, the newness of the first year always just stings. And you're literally walking in a cloud for the first year, legitimately, because every single day is new, every single holiday, every single life experience is new without your transition loved one. But I think by year 3 is when it really, really settles, and that's scary. The permanency becomes very close and very clear, and I think that's what becomes very unsettling.
And then working through like your book would give people the ability, just the toolbox to be able to go through and even help not just that first year, but in that third year as well.
Yeah, I designed the book where you can open up to any chapter and hopefully find community, right? Because for some people, maybe anger comes later. For some people, maybe anger comes in the middle. And especially people who their transition level was sick, right? They're going to feel content first and foremost, right? Because you don't want to see them in suffering, but maybe you get angry later on. So first you get to witness and be in community. And then secondly, you have tools if you want to work through. I always guardian working through grief. I say you surrender to grief because you don't work through it. It will always be, once you meet it on the path, it will always be there. It cycles back. So I say you surrender to it and you learn to just have it at the table with you. So you learn
That's
how to
beautiful.
be in community with it. Yes.
Do you have any clients that came to you asking for that type of thing then directly? So did they share any of their experiences with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I have, the three types of clients I have are those who want just a therapeutic aspect, but they witness with my journey, right? So they feel safe. So I have my therapeutic clients. I have my clients who literally have their tools, have their toolbox, but they understand that grief is a very specific time in their life and they want to work on that. And they usually stay about a year, maybe 18 months. And then I have just my spiritual clients who come every 6 months, every now and then to come get a reading. For me, I guardian how often you can come get a reading because I don't like to do the codependency. And also you need to let Earth catch up with what comes out in the timeline, right? So those are the three specific types of clients that I have. And it's a mixed bag, usually by the year. So this is about the time my grief people start being like, hey, holiday time. Need some support. And I'm like, yep, let's get on back through it.
So you're going to get busy coming up pretty soon then.
Yeah, this from Halloween to about February is a peak time for me.
Okay, so we're going to transition back into the haunted portion of the podcast. And we transition from our physical body. The people that are left behind, they go through grief and loss. Two questions. Do you have an idea of what spirit does during this period of transition? And also, I kind of want to talk about some of the signs and symbols that spirit give us after they transition, because my understanding is that sometimes we are getting signs pretty much immediately or almost immediately after passing, which can be really comforting. So it would be really nice for all of our podcast guests to hear a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. I first recommend the trilogy Life Between Lives by Michael Smith, I believe. Oh, that last name might be, I might be misspeaking his last name, but those are the books that I highly recommend. He was a psycho therapist, and he would use hypnosis as a healing modality. And he just stumbled into his different clients talking about spirit world. So it really resonated to me. I've found it true with the clients that I've worked with. So I believe that once your body transitions, and the transition is the soul spirit unhooks, untethers from your physical body, right? That has to happen. That is death. Right? The unhooking is death. I think sometimes the soul stays here on earth, especially if they're confused or wasn't expecting the transition. For me during COVID, it was so much to go outside because I could feel confused dead around. And that was I had never felt it at such magnitude before. So I think sometimes they stay around. Usually the soul stays around till their service. And then they go, what we know as to the light, to spirit, where they do their past life regression. They look at what they did. The karma scales are calculated. And then they go there. Sometimes people go straight to spirit and be like, hey, I'll come back in a little bit. I think it's like a first person decision. I knew for sure that my mother went over pretty fast because I started seeing her in my dreams. And I did see an apparition of her. I actually walked through her one night on the way to the bathroom.
Oh, wow.
And I told her, don't do that again. Because yes, I talk to dead people, but that was scary. And I love you, but I can't be doing that. And she has it. And I've been so thankful. She has it. And I think that you do get signs. The very first sign is dreams. And I think people don't know to ask for your transition loved one to show up. You need to ask them. You need to give permission, right? They're not just going to bombard you, right? So you need to ask them to come, and they will come. And then look for the things that resonate to you and the relationship. I do not think that a dove means peace. If I was attacked by a dove don't mean peace to me, right? So there are not
That is right.
universal. I know we want like a universal spirit vocab box, but I think it's what resonates to you. So if you smell their perfume, if you smell their favorite dish, if you keep seeing red tricycles because you and grandma would watch you while you rode your red tricycle, and you can see the red tricycle on people's shirts, on the bus, anywhere you see that, that's your transition loved one speaking to you. They want to be in communication. I think we think they transition over and then they're doing their own thing. Absolutely not. If anything, they have access to this vast and unlimited timeline. They want to give you cues and support. So they want to be in communication with you and they will give signs.
The whole idea that, leave your spirit people in peace, don't talk to your spirit people, that's a fallacy.
It's a fallacy. Listen, I know my mama tired of me. I know she is. She's like, listen, I am dead and this girl trying to talk to me. Let me no. No, they do. They're coming to check on you, right? They're here for all your big moments, your little moments. I even think they're grieving as well. It's not, you don't have human emotions in spirit, but they feel something that you are missing them, right? They want to provide comfort. So yeah, no, they want to be in community, which then gets me all into rituals and anthropology. And if we study just human behavior, humans have always did things for spirits on the other side. That just didn't come from just us, right? There's truth in even the Egyptians and hieroglyphics and what they buried people with for the other side. There's truth in that.
Yeah, that's so true. Do you feel that sometimes people, when their loved one passes, they hold on to mementos and stuff from them? Do you feel that draws their spirit towards them as well?
Yeah, items of your transition loved ones have their imprint on it. And so it's charged with their energetic field. And that is even something I ask people to bring into readings, right? If they want to talk to someone specific, I say, bring your stuff, because if I hold it or if I touch it or if I see it, it can help me even narrow in or connect with their transition loved one. So absolutely, wear your grandmother's ring, wear their pearls, wear their hat, or keep it safe, whatever you want. Yeah, absolutely.
And it could even be possibly some closure too for them, right? Because, holding on to that, it's good to let go, but it's also sometimes to have closure to keep that person with you as well. So
Yeah, I definitely think a physical object helps ground in grief, right? And even with my grief clients, one of the first things we work on is separating your emotions around the loss, which is grief, is the emotions, with the person, right? I still grieve the loss of my mother figure, but my mother in spirit is doing a whole vast, different, amazing thing. But I can still touch, just, I don't have my mama for holiday, right? I think people lump together. And so it's okay to have an item that grounds you in the grief, but we also honor their soul and their spirit journey too. Both can be true. It's yes and, not either or.
Okay. I think we're going to go. We're going to spin this around just a little bit, because we're talking objects, and we just had Halloween. We have the energetic imprint of our loved ones attached to their things.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to have haunted objects?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I would like to just like what is haunted? I think haunted has a negative or like a lower soul vibration. And there are souls that are not, intention is not well, right? But there's also a subset of souls that are like trickster souls, where they're just playful, like Beetlejuice. Not saying Beetlejuice is correct, but just to give someone,
Okay.
right, that Beetlejuice ain't trying to harm nobody. That's trickster. That's trickster to a point where you're like, all right, now you need to sit down. You know that. But then there are that intention is to harm, right? That if there's intention for good, there's intention for bad. An energetic vibration can impose itself on an object, but also here on this earth plane, you can cleanse this object. We have more power here than we think. Sometimes we think spirit is more powerful, but we have choice on on this side. So you can cleanse an object, you can cast out things from an object. All of those things are true, and you can. Now, if I come across a haunted object, I'm just gonna leave. Hey, that's not my business. I'm gonna leave it where it needs to be. It ain't
Just
coming
leave
in my
that
house.
alone. Leave it right there.
I don't need to touch it. It ain't coming in my house. That is not my business. That's for somebody else.
Have you ever come across some haunted objects? Like, I mean, I don't like teak malls for that reason. But,
Yeah, I haven't came across one that was like specifically like yelling at me, but especially in thrift stores, I can walk past something and be like, "Ooh, that was probably like not in a nice house." You know what I mean? Like, ooh, that owner was probably very sad, right? And very angry. That I get those cues, and I'm like, it doesn't matter how cute that candlestick is, it needs to stay right there for somebody else.
Yeah, you sort of pick up on the intuition or the energy coming off of the object.
Exactly, exactly. The energetic blueprint that was left. Yeah.
okay, now say I touch that janky feeling candlestick. I realize now that I'm holding it, there's something funky about it, and I put it down.
Yeah.
Is there an instant way to, is that energy sticking to me? Is there an instant way as a psychic medium that you can clear yourself of that janky energy and not bring it home?
That's a
That
very
is a
good
good
question.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. One, I want everyone to know that you have to give permission for there has to be an agreement for both of the spirits, yourself and the spirit, right? So if you take that janky energy home, something is saying you're interested or curious or something like that, right? If you know that's a hard no for you, a simple one is this. Literally just wipe it off. It's instinctual. Just wipe it off. Sometimes I wipe like on my clothes because cotton and also just another physical object can ground it, right? Like I do that. I might say a little cleansing prayer like I am protected, I am safe. I'm sending light to this object that it be made whole, right? Because I want to leave in a good impression. Like, you know, right? I'm not the candlestick don't want the junky energy in it either, you know? The candlestick is like, I'm tired. So those three things are just very quick, instant things that you can do. Even while and I even tell my students this is when you're at a happy hour with your friends or you're meeting someone new and you can literally just wipe your oh my gosh, my hands are so oh let me just so sorry but you shake someone's hand and it feels oh my goodness, you can just begin wiping on your pants. Yeah, you can do those all of those just immediately.
See, I love that because most of the time when people think of clearing a space or their bodies, they think it's got to be this whole giant ritual. And, you know, then we have to think about, you know, the ritual material versus properly. This is just like so simple and anyone can do it at any time. It's really empowering.
Yeah. I like to say, right, we're still living in a real world. If you're in a meeting and your boss starts yelling and that affects you, you don't have time to end the meeting, go get your sage, and start clearing the meeting. That's not working. Like, so what do you do right in that moment? And you can do those things. Now, if you have a dinner party at your house, something went awry, then the next day you probably need to do a whole clearing.
Yeah, those are good tips for people if they have
Beautiful.
something quick they need to just get rid of some energy, right? Just like
Yeah.
literally just wipe it off your hands or your body and just bye
Yeah.
bye. Well, thank you so much for joining us today here on Haunting Live. It was great chatting with you about what you do and learning about your background and being here with us today on Haunting Live. So,
Thank
how can people
you.
get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you?
Yes, thank you, Trevor. It was a great conversation. Please, my website is abcholisticcenter.net. My main social media platforms is Instagram, Facebook, and Threads, which you can find me there in the Kenya Hall. And Kenya, like the country, Kenya Hall, like hallway, HALL.
Okay, sounds wonderful. Thank you again for joining us here on Haunting Live. And Yolanda, do you have any parting words?
Mackenzie, you are a fast guest, and you said you're very interactive on social media. I did check out some of your Instagram posts. Not only are you interactive, but you have a lot of really informative content in your Instagram. So I do encourage everybody to Check out Nakenya Hall on Instagram, on Facebook, and even on her website.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Content is wild, so that means a lot. Thank you.
Well, again, thank you for joining us, and you're welcome back at any time.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
The paranormal can happen at any time, so that's why our Etsy store is always open. Get your paranormal items from cleansing to protection to attraction, all available now on our Etsy store. Search Haunting Live.